Yeah. Another culture shock was that school is free. So uh, people go to school for free. So if you're in, of course, there are private school and international school where if you feel you have some, if you're in a better position to pay, you can enroll your child there. But schools are free, and wealthy, not wealthy, middle average, call it all, they go to the same school, other than the international and the private schools that I've mentioned. These others, they go to the same school. People don't wear uniforms. Like, it was, so for me, it was really shocking because, going to school without a uniform, you just use your normal clothes to go to school. I think that was kind of strange, but of course nowadays it's so normal that I don't feel any difference about it, about wearing uniform and not wearing uniform. It is just okay. Also, like, you'll see kids going to school with their mobile phones, with their smartphones, so normal. I'm like, this can never happen in Kenya for sure. I'm sure it does happen, but at least where I grew up, I never saw that. And of course, yeah, the times have changed. Mm, um, Another shocking thing for me was the eating culture. Like, people eat bread. People eat bread for lunch. That was crazy for me, really. People eat bread for lunch as a meal, and they will also eat the same bread for breakfast. Why? Yeah, it was really, really strange for me in the beginning. And also, like, if you remove the international dishes, I'm not sure if they have really good dishes, other than there is something I'm gonna post somewhere here, which is kind of so known as the Dutch dish. But you can eat it today, but tomorrow I'm sure you don't want to eat it anymore. Yeah, okay. In matters food, other than the international food influenced, they don't have a lot for their own. So that in the beginning, I was really struggling with it. But the good thing, there are so many other dishes. If you go to the supermarket, it is a multicultural country, so you are likely to find other dishes in the supermarket. Yeah. Another thing, health insurance. So I talked about getting appointments from the at the doctor, but also another thing is the health system. The health system really works. So everybody, at least that I know, is insured. So for you to be in the Netherlands, you have to be insured. That means if you fall sick, you can actually go to the hospital, get treated, come back without paying a single penny, unless you want to get treated for things best known to you, or for example, like teeth handling and A, B, and C. But normal treatment, it's free. Like, it's just free. Wow, that was kind of shocking, really. Yeah, I think such kind of things are the things that actually make even life to be worth living, or rather for someone to the life expectancy to even be more for a country, because if you can easily access such things, then you feel also a bit secure, as a person. Another thing was the language. So, in Kenya, for example, you always feel like people who can speak eloquent English are somehow looked in somehow different. Maybe it's just me, but I always feel like people give a lot of pressure to their kids to really speak English. And sometimes even you'll find that, like, the kids can't even speak their own mother tongue. They can't speak Swahili. It's just about English. Even if the parents themselves can't speak that English very good, they will just be trying so much so that the kids speak English. Well, that is something that I'm not against. But I think as much as they speak English, it's also good because they live in Kenya, unless you want them to go abroad. And even if they go abroad, it doesn't matter. They can speak different languages, and there's some beauty in it, because you never know. Maybe if they grow up, they want to find their career in Kenya, and if they can't speak the country's language, then yeah, they're not gonna fit the way they're supposed to fit. Don't understand me differently, but I think, for example, in the Netherlands, I was surprised. Some people even can't speak English, yet in our terms we say they live abroad. That wasn't the case like we expected it. People speak their mother tongue, and even there's no need actually to speak English unless needed. And even if they speak English, they're not perfect. Like, they just try whatever. Of course, I'm not saying that they can't speak English. They are so good in English, but it's not something that they give priority compared to us. For us, it feels sometimes like we are so I don't know how to put it, but it feels like if you can speak English, you're always viewed as if you're intelligent, and someone who can speak English, they are not viewed as intelligent or something. which is actually not true, you know. I think this narrative should somehow be changed, and people should be made aware that it's good to speak different languages, and also there is beauty to enjoy your native language, I feel. Yeah. Again, another thing is, oh yeah, this I forgot to mention, the Dutch people are quite tall. If I tell you tall people, if you want to see tall people, an average population where people are tall, you go to just the Netherlands, or maybe if you're in Africa, you go to Sudan. So in the Netherlands, people are quite tall. I think 2 meters kind of men is not hard to find. You will always see them everywhere. So for someone who has set standards for themselves that is the type of a person they want to have as a relationship partner, you can board your flight already and go and meet your lost rib. Yes. Another shocking thing is weed. So of course nowadays there's so many countries, or rather a few countries, which have allowed weed. But for me it was strange that weed is allowed and people smoke it without even having to worry what's coming, you know. Weed is allowed, so people even come. It's like a culture thing. People come in to just smoke weed and leave because, you know, why not? And what I realized also is, like, the people who come in just to smoke the weed because it's now allowed, the people who actually smoke it, even, I feel like it's more not the people themselves, like not the citizens. It's more people who come as tourists who want to enjoy because it's, you know, it's allowed. Let me try it. They smoke it more than even the people who live there. So it means that these restrictions sometimes that we put in our country that even facilitate drug trafficking, there somehow they could, I don't mean they should be uplifted, but there is somehow you can use you can use some measures to equalize things so that you kill the business of the traffickers. Yeah, if someone can understand me. I think it's how clean the country is, really. I know in Kenya it's also quite clean, not all the places, but sorry for another day. Yeah, the Netherlands is quite clean. I was surprised because after a few months using my shoe, so because it's quite cold, you always end up maybe wearing almost the same shoe, and at least for me, because I was quite new, so I didn't have like a lot of money to spend buying shoes. That means there was some type of shoe which I wear like almost every day, and even after 8 months of being in the Netherlands, the shoes, when I looked at them, they looked like new. If I would have taken them to Kenya and sold them, people will be like, "Oh, this is really like a good shoe for the market." So like it's really like top quality because there's no dust, there's no rocks around. Your shoe sole tends to stay good, and also like in a better condition. Whereas if I compare it with Kenya, you kind of hit a lot of dust, you're mud, everything makes the shoe, of course, kaput, in other terms. And what kind of struck me is many people don't wash their shoes. I don't know. You know, when I was in Kenya, when I was still naive, I used to think, or rather, also people used to say that people from abroad, they come with very dirty shoes so that they cannot be stolen. But actually, those are not dirty shoes. Those are the way those shoes look is the same way they look when you see some of them. And I'm not mentioning everybody, but I realized so many Dutch people, or rather people from the Netherlands, who don't wash their shoe. You find like it's a perfectly looking shoe, but it's not washed. Since it was bought, it has never been washed. They just don't wash their shoes. So until they can throw it up, they don't wash them. And for example, if they have vacation, so they'll be likely to carry these shoes because they love it or something. And when they come to a place maybe like Kenya for tourism or whatnot, this is what we see, and we forget that actually it is the same shoe that they would wear even if they were back at home. So we see it differently. We are like, oh, they wear these shoes because they don't want to be robbed or A, B, and C. I've heard so many stuffs, and yeah, it's kind of normal. Another thing is about housing. So for me, my expectation when I was in Kenya was like, you know, abroad, because I had never been abroad, so you can't judge me. I was based on the series and the movies. Of course, you can be informed as much in the internet, but it's not always what you expect. That people have villas, people have big houses, you know. That was my expectation. Flying to Netherlands and seeing how people live actually. People have really tiny houses. The streets are small. Like there's so many things. Even what people drive it's quite tiny, because also, like, for example, the streets of Netherlands. The Netherlands is quite a small country, so that means if you have a big car, you're actually, it's for a waste, because the streets themselves are quite small, and that means you have to look for something that really fits your daily routine, as opposed to what people know. Because us, actually, in Kenya, you'll find that if you're lucky, you have a house in Nairobi. Let me say, if you live in Nairobi, and you also have a house in the village, and all these both houses, they're houses that could actually host more than 5 people at a go. And someone who has such kind of a house is not even regarded as a very wealthy person. Like, it's so normal for people to have houses that can host a family, because also people have like many kids. Whereas in the Netherlands, where you expect them to be, of course, we have another expectation about abroad. People expect abroad to be like everybody's doing well and whatnot. It's not the case. There are many people who struggle the same way as people who are at home. Even there are actually even many people at home who do better than the people the people in the Netherlands, for example. So this narrative of like, if you're coming from abroad, you're wealthy. Of course, I knew it is not true, but it even came to reality when I'm already here, because I can see it. Actually, that's not true. It's just that they earn more, and of course they spend more. Whereas in Kenya, we earn less, and we, compared to what we spend, is somehow less. Actually, even more compared to someone who is in the Netherlands, because there are some things which are actually cheaper, and of course there are some things which are more expensive. It just depends with what you have to give and what you need for your daily routine, I would say. Yeah. Another shocking thing is to get a driving license. Oh my God. In Kenya, if you have like, I would say $300, you can easily get a driving license, like easily get a driving license after going to school and everything. In the Netherlands, that's not the case. You have to pay more than 2,000 euros, and that's in Kenya shillings, I think it's more than 200,000 shillings to get a driving license. And that means if you haven't failed, I don't know of anybody in Kenya who has failed their exams, their driving license exams, really. I'm not quite aware, but in the Netherlands, people do fail. Like, people like me, it's people fail the exams so much as it's expensive, and there is no shortcut. In Kenya, you'll always see things going under the table, and you ask yourself, how did that happen? But in the Netherlands, you have to follow everything to the letter. You can actually fail the exam so easily, and that's because they want to also make sure that the roads are actually safe to drive, because not everybody can jump into the car and drive like you see in other countries. You have to have a license, and you can easily also lose that license if you don't watch out. Because, for example, if you get a license, I think you have like 2 years probe time, whereby if you make a mistake, you can easily lose your driving license. And losing driving license, it is real. It's not like they will be warning you and telling you, hey, you need to watch out. No, if you make a mistake that is like, for example, driving through traffic lights, such things, you can easily lose your license. Yeah, and they're not even joking about it, you know. Oh, one thing I also forgot to mention is how direct the Dutch people are. Oh, they're really, really direct. I've never seen people who are so direct as the Dutch people. They are very direct. Like, if they want to air out their points, they will just tell you this, and that's how they want it, or that's how they see it. As opposed to, for example, in my country, if you're dressed maybe not so nice, someone will be like, that cloth maybe is nice, but I think, like, they will always be like, but I think you could have done this. No, they don't go to those corners, you know. They'll just tell you, oh, this dress, no, you can't go with this dress outside. Like, straight to the point, take it or leave it. And yeah, that's just them. Yeah. Another thing is their work culture, like work-life balance. I find that they're quite hardworking people, in the sense that when it comes to work, they do give their all. They work so hard, but when it comes to also balancing, they will not work when it's not supposed to be work time. So, for example, most of the people you'll find, like, on the weekends, they don't work. On the weekends, they will be with their families or somewhere, spending at the bar or cafes or restaurants, spending time with friends and family, and they will not mix the two. And if at all work is supposed to be ending at 6, they will not try to be there until 8 p.m., trying to make sure that the boss really feels good about them. No, work is work, and party or the other side of work is also the other side of work. They don't mix these two. Yeah, that's kind of a good culture. But I understand that it's because there are so many jobs, so the employment rate is high and the unemployment rate is low, which means the employers will not use their employees just because. Whereas in Kenya, if you look at, I think like a third of the population is employed, whereas the 2/3 are not employed. So that means people get really misused in workplaces for real. Yeah. Another, well, is it a culture shock or not? I don't know. But another culture shock was how the roads and the vehicles are on the roads. Like, I haven't seen a very very old car with a lot of fumes, like I see it, for example, in Nairobi. Like, you see super old cars being driven around the country in Kenya, and you wonder how, like, is this car even really supposed to be on the road? No, in the Netherlands it's different. So you will always see, like, yeah, of course there are also very old cars, but they're not that old in the sense that they cause pollution, like lots and lots of pollution, where you see like black fumes coming from behind. Most of the cars are really in a good conditions, and matters insurance and everything has to be perfect. Otherwise, you are liable. You can get a fine, and nobody really wants that. If there is something the Dutch are scared of, is fines. So they will always make sure that everything is pitch and perfect to escape just spending money on such kind of things. Yeah. And for sure, the economy is really doing good, like you see.